Sawadee Cap viewers, today's story comes to us from Morten, a subscriber all the way from Denmark. Get ready for a sprawling, cinematic, and sometimes unbelievable true tale of love, betrayal, and a mother-in-law who is far more than she seems. Morten's journey begins with his early trips to Thailand as a young man, working in the Arctic to fund his holidays. After a painful first marriage to a Thai woman ends due to a greedy mother-in-law, he vows never to return. But a few years later, love draws him back, and he meets his second wife, a woman who initially seems to embody all the classic tropes of Thai relationships. What follows is a remarkable saga of falling in love, moving to Europe, and a second, much wealthier mother-in-law, who masterfully orchestrated a surprising and heartwarming conclusion to Morten's fears. It's a story that will make you rethink everything you think you know about life and love in Thailand. Over the next 8 years, I fell into a routine. I'd work 4 to 6 months in the Arctic, save my money, and then spend a month or two of my holidays and savings in Thailand. I spent 3 months on a motorbike in Isan, went diving in Phuket, and a good portion of my time and money was spent on bargirls. I learned a trick or two, could recognize a scam and a ladyboy when I saw one. And after 3 years of this on-again, off-again lifestyle, I spoke fluent Thai. It was this confidence, this sense of knowing the score that set me up for a fall. One day in Pattaya, a bar girl I knew challenged me. She bet I couldn't take the cashier out for dinner. Her reasons were seemingly ironclad. The cashier was married to a local mafioso, bus driver. Her father owned the bar and was rich. She was a Farang, and the cashier only spoke Thai. And she had a kid with the mafioso. I took it as a challenge and bet a lady drink that I could get her out for a dinner. No, hanky-panky, within 2 weeks. Long story short, after several days of hanging around, using sweet words, and even enlisting the company of a 3-star cop to appear respectable, I won the bet. We snuck away for a dimly lit dinner. What I didn't know was that the bar girl I'd made the bet with had been keeping the cashier's husband well informed. The next day, the cashier showed up at the bar with 2 black eyes, swollen lips, and a limp. Oh, big mistake. I was a fool, and I've never forgiven myself for that stupid bet. The cashier, bruised and broken, asked for my help. She wanted to escape her abusive husband, the mafioso bus driver. Guilt-ridden, I agreed. I told her she could get away from him by coming with me to the Arctic. I made it clear I wouldn't marry her, but she'd be safe, have time to settle her affairs and get a fresh start. Even her mother came to my hotel, begging me to take care of her daughter. I, of course, gave my word. The next few days were a blur of paranoia. She was being watched by local informers, and I was being chased around by 2 bus taxis with identical numbers. We finally left Pattaya in the middle of the night, with a police escort to Bangkok thanks to my connections. A week later, with visa and ticket secured, we were on our way to the Arctic. And then a funny thing happened. We fell in love, we got married, and were genuinely happy. After a year, my mother-in-law called. She said her ex-son-in-law had cooled down, meaning, he no longer showed up at her house with hand grenades and guns. My wife went back to Thailand to pick up her son. We planned to bring him back with us to Denmark. As I was leaving the Arctic, the Cold War was over, and the base was closing in 1989. I missed her desperately, and honestly, we spoke on the phone often. But on the day she was due to arrive, I drove 6 hours to the airport, and out she came, a totally changed person and without her son. The mother-in-law would only let her bring the boy if she paid 400,000 baht and a monthly amount of 10,000 baht. It seemed the news that money doesn't grow on trees had not arrived in Naklua. My wife told me she had to choose between Mommy and me, and well, Mommy won. We divorced as friends, she went back to Thailand, and I went on to look for other jobs, selling our newly bought furniture and apartment. Never ever will I go back. I vowed to myself as the days and nights became lonely, never will I marry again. My first attempt had failed, not because of us, but because of a money-hungry mother-in-law. I thought I had learned my lesson. Fast forward to 1993. I'd landed a great job in the middle of Europe with a fair salary. Thailand was the last thing on my mind. I only spoke Thai when I occasionally ate the food. I truly never missed the place. But I still had a few friends who would visit. Finally, in 1994, love drove me to return to Thailand. It was a preacher's daughter from Denmark whom I had told, "You have two choices, me or your boyfriend." She chose me, and I was soon bound for Bangkok. An old friend I hadn't seen in years picked me up at the airport. We went straight to the hotel, and then straight to Nana Plaza. It was the same old story. After a few days, I got bored. It was all the same stuff. Same drinks, same tricks. So I decided to get rid of my jet lag and stay in. But my friend convinced me to go with him to Soi Cowboy. He'd met a girl there the night before, a newcomer who wouldn't go out with him, a stunner. He was desperate to get to her before any fat old farang did. I kind of felt it was my duty to go with him for translation. Back in the old days, we had a little competition. I'd steal his girls and he'd steal mine. So here we were in this little bar, and when I saw his choice, I felt the old competition spark. I want that one, I thought. He can find another. We flipped a coin, as in the old days. I won, and immediately started showering the unsuspecting girl with all the roses available in Soi Cowboy. With my fluent Thai, it paid off. No, she doesn't work here. I was told she's visiting her sister, the bartender. Yeah, I'd heard that one before. How long have you been in Bangkok? She asked. 2 days, I said, a lie I'd also heard before. I was getting bored with the lies. Where is your husband or boyfriend? I asked. I don't have any, she said, another line I'd heard many times. Finally, I'd had enough. You want to join me for dinner? No way, she replied. I don't go with Farangs. That was a new one, at least, for Soi Cowboy. After hours of back and forth, we finally agreed to go to a noodle shop with her sister in tow. After several days, I was getting desperate. She would go out with me and drink with me, but there was no fun whatsoever. So I tried an old trick. Tomorrow I go to Samui. If you want to come, fine. But no sister, just you and me. I assumed she was just the hard-to-get type, waiting for the big win in the end. But it turned out she didn't want my money at all. She said she wanted to see Europe, so I was like, fine with me if you pay your own ticket, no problem. Was I surprised? Guess so. To Europe we went. After 3 months and, well, the same number of missing periods, we got married. Just a few days after our wedding, her father called, asking for a small loan of 50,000 baht for gambling debts. He said if she didn't pay, he'd disown her. Her response was a single phrase that honestly made me fall even more in love. She told him to fuck off. I found it a bit rude, but as she explained, he has been gambling all his life. If we start to give him money, he'll just spend it gambling. That was my girl. Her frugality was so legendary that, honestly, my biggest problem was trying to stop her from complaining about price increases in local stores. We had our first child, and I asked if it wasn't time to visit Thailand. No, I like it here, she said. In Thailand, my father just wants our money. Here we can spend it ourselves and on our kid. When I mentioned her mother, she said, no problem, she has worked all her life. She takes care of herself as my father always drank and spent her money on gambling. They divorced as we left Thailand. In 1996, our second kid arrived. She was still totally adamant about not going back to Thailand with two small kids. We'd wait until they were bigger, she said, so they could ride elephants. We never heard from her father again, but her mother would call us once in a while. My wife never called her mother, explaining it was too expensive. I'd tell her I would pay the bill, but her tightness in money matters kept her from calling. Finally, in 2001, the kids were 4 and 6 and we were going to Thailand. We called her mother in advance so she could take a few days off work. I remember asking my wife over the years, "Work? What work does your mother have?" She told me, "Well, she makes paper from bark, from trees and postcards." I wondered, how much for a postcard? Maybe 1 to 4 baht. It made me wonder why we never received collect calls. 2 months before we left, my mother-in-law called and asked if we needed a car for our 3-month stay. No, I said, we will rent or travel with trains. 3 days later, she called again. She had found the right car for us, an almost new Honda, but I was like, I don't want a car, I told my wife. And not at Thai prices. Again and again, my mother-in-law called about that damned car, and I was determined not to let her feed me with one. Or so I thought. A few weeks before departure, a good friend, his wife, and their 3 kids decided to join us for the first 3 weeks of our vacation. No problem, I thought. The more the better. At least my mother-in-law can't have me killed without witnesses. Again, she called and asked about a car. No, I said. We don't need a car, and we will be 9 instead of 4. Our friends are coming too. Well, she replied, then you need a minibus. Oh God. Finally, my wife had enough and told her mother to forget it. No car, Buster. Not another word about a car or we will be a no-show. The calls finally stopped. Arriving in Bangkok with my wife, our kids, our friends, a total of 9 people, there she was, the mother-in-law. My biggest fear since I got married. She smiled with a little blink in her eye. I couldn't help but notice the tons of gold around her neck and wrists. Oh my God, I thought. Where did she rent that? Hopefully I won't be stuck with the bill. Well, the family led us out of Don Mueang to the car park. There stood 2 new minibuses. Well, said the mother-in-law, since you could not decide, I bought 2. Take your pick. One I need to rent out, but the other belongs to you when you are in Thailand. My brother will drive, but you have to fill the gas yourself. I was completely dumbfounded. What's going on here? I asked my wife discreetly. We have these hotel room reservations, my wife said. No way, said the mother-in-law. I did the reservations as soon as I knew you were 2 families. I got some nice family rooms for only 4,000 baht a night. Gulp. I was sweating. And I paid for them too, she added. So off we went to her hotel rooms. After a cold singer, I discreetly asked my wife what was going on. She bought a car for us. She paid for our 4,000 baht hotel rooms. She's paid for a big welcome dinner. What is all this? My wife just smiled. I told you she takes care of herself. When we left Thailand 7 years ago, she divorced my father, moved up north, and started to work as a factory worker, doing paper and postcards for 30 baht an hour. She became a leader of a group of 20 ladies, then a whole department. And 2 years ago, she was manager of the factory. Now, she's in charge of 340 employees, has a 30% share in the factory, and has opened one herself. She makes around 2 to 3 million baht a month plus. Recovering from my surprise, I finally got into vacation mode. We traveled all over Thailand. My mother-in-law flew in once in a while to see us. bringing the kids color Game Boys and lots of presents. She paid for our hotels, and to finally give me a kick in the arse, she bought us a townhouse without my knowledge and gave it to us 5 days before we left, so we wouldn't have to stay in a hotel next time we came on vacation. For 8 years of marriage, I felt like I had won the lottery. My wife is a lovely creature, my best friend and partner. Our two wonderful Luk Kriungs are special. They speak 4 languages. We never send a single baht to Thailand and never will, according to my wife, also known around the house as the finance minister. My only trouble is this. My mother-in-law had been lying to us. She didn't buy 1 townhouse. She bought 2, the one next door, so we can be closer together during our next vacation. Well, I guess it's a tale to tell, and it's a true one. What a truly wild and astonishing story Morten has shared with us today. His journey is a powerful reminder that life in Thailand is a lot more complex than the simple narratives we often hear. Morten's first heartbreaking experience with a money-hungry mother-in-law set the stage for a dramatic twist of fate with his second wife's family, who defied every expectation he had. The transformation of his second mother-in-law from a poor postcard maker into a powerful factory manager who bought him not 1, but 2 townhouses is a story almost too incredible to believe. It's a tale that challenges our prejudices and shows the depth, generosity, and sheer ambition that can exist beneath the surface. What did you find most shocking about Morten's story, and how did your expectations change as the story unfolded? Have you ever had a similar experience that completely changed your perspective? Share your thoughts and stories respectfully in the comments below. If Morten's captivating saga resonated with you, please give this video a like. And for more incredible, real-life expat stories that challenge the status quo, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.